When George R.R. Martin was asked about spirituality and religion, he answered, "You would consider me an atheist or agnostic. I find religion and spirituality fascinating. I would like to believe this isn't the end and there is something more, but I can't convince the rational part of me that makes any sense whatsoever." So in this video, we'll have two parts. In the first one, we'll be talking about, is he really spiritual or atheist based on his chart? And those points you can also see in your chart. So let's roll the intro and start with the first one. The whole inspiration for this video is when I have seen this Sun and Ketu in his Navamsha Lagna. Because these two, especially in the Aquarius, they are four demand grahas: Sun, Rahu, Jupiter, and Ketu. Demand means about the intellect, but also refers to spiritual people, which often will have those planets in the Navamsha Lagna. So Sun and Ketu, these are the fiery planets, especially the Sun in Lagna said to give a Jyotisha or astrologer in Navamsha. And when we think about them, these are giving the inspiration or motive to look somewhere into this metaphysical, let's call it like this, realm or anti-materialistic realm, right? So there is not all what we see, it's not all in all, there must be something more. And he even said about this in that quote we spoke at the beginning. So there is this, with the nodes, Rahu and Ketu, this desire to transcend, to see something more, go to the so-called trendy liminal spaces. Even in the Aquarius, we have the Rahu coming into the picture. So it's like the Sun, which is giving us the light, and the nodes, which are trying to transcend something. We try to look behind the veil, right? Is there something more? And this often is related also to mystical experience, when the Jupiter is also a guide. So for Sun Rahu, we need the Jupiter. Like in the eclipse, we are worshipping Shiva, which is related to Jupiter. So whenever we try to transcend, or whenever we are doing some kind of mystical practices which are about this transcending, then we need to also to have that Jupiter. But all of these nodes, how it is reflected in his books, right? We can see that this is the fantasy, and also this is about all those ghosts or all those things which are also coming from the another dimensions. So there will be also other parts in the chart, but the first point is about that, is the fantasy really escaping from reality? Is it the tamas, right? Like we are ignoring, we are sleeping, we don't want to see the reality. We are, like some say that the cinema or the movies are also in that escapist realm, right? But here we can see from the chart that these are very positive grahas for him. And because they are aspecting also Mercury in the 9th, so they are favoring him this writing. They are guiding this metaphysical part, the spiritual part of his character is driving the whole writing mechanism. We will see that also in the last point. Moon exalted is about society's history, culture, anthropology, also suspecting that Mercury exalted both in the Navamsha and in the Vimshamsa. So this is also giving those big skill to create all those families, communities, and you need to have quite great imagination to create such a complex relationship between all those entities in his books. Now, the second point is about the Pisacha yoga. Pisacha is about Mars and Ketu, and often it refers to ghosts, also some kind of, we could say, spiritual entities, which we also can find in his books and also can be strongly related to the fantasy writers. And when we think about Mars and Ketu, then we need to also refer to visualization and also the prediction. So all the people, even the engineers or the people who are in the economic market, who are trying to prognosticate, predict what will be the financial trends for the future. And of course, also astrologers, they all benefit from that yoga. If that yoga is also properly channelized, then this can give also a person who is somehow trying to get the message from inner self, right? Like there was the meme that the only reliable source for me is that it was the symbolic language from my dreams, right? So this is also like I'm closing my eyes and I'm getting the imagination, the visualization. And when that is supported by other spiritual yogas in the chart, then this is also tending in that direction, right? One can be very spiritual with strong Agni grahas, like Mars being in the own sign or exalted, especially in the Kendra. Many mystical, especially this people who are into this deep spirituality, they will have a strong fiery planets because they are also related to that 1 point dhyana, right? There is the special type of meditation which demands, requests a lot of focus. And we know that Mars has this laser focus. Mars is also going very deep. So whenever it will show spirituality, it will also tend to go very deep. Now we are lucky to be exposed to very nice rule that when Ascendant Lord and Atmakaraka, dispositor, are in the Dushtana, then also this is making one spiritual. Here we can see Lagna Lord Moon is in martial sign, Atmakaraka is in martial sign, so the dispositor is Mars. Mars is in the 6th, so it's in the Dushtana. Now, I'm saying that this is giving the joy of missing out, right? Because you are not connected to the prana, you are not attached to those material things so much. You are trying to be addicted, associated yourself with things which are fueling this inner joy in you, right? You don't want to be controlled by those things which can quickly disappear, or they will stop giving you that dopamine, and or they are controlled by someone else, right? So I think that one of this strong inspiration for going into spirituality is that, or at least into that meditation or some intellectual work, is that you don't want to be slave to something outside of you, right? So because you had experienced that when in that strong attachment, this is broken, then it is leading to a strong suffering, disappointment. And this can be quite traumatic experience when that is very strong, right? When the biggest risk, the biggest game or play in this regard is entering relationship, right? Because you are attaching yourself to other person, and then this attachment can break. It can be controlled by the other one, who may step away from that. This can cause a big sadness, depression, and melancholy, and things like that, the despair. When person has this dispositor of Atmakaraka and Ascendant Lord in the Dushtana, then we say that these people are not spending their prana on external objects. They are not going into the latest gear or things like that, the shiny dopamine invested external attributes of this late stage capitalism. We are more than trying to focus on more Brahmanical activities, like getting joy from reading or sadhana, or just talking to other people, being engaged in that societies, things like that. Also, the strong moon here, this is also interesting, also can be perceived as a type of being engaged in community, because we know that he is very close to his fan base. So that moon, even that moon here, is giving that Vasudeva Kutumbakam, which means that you are not very happy with this division into nations, or into this, that you are excluded from something, that all people are seen equal and are having the same rights and things like that. Everyone is the family. So that strong moon can push those views into the person, which also is a big part of spirituality. Now we have a few which are related to the 12th house. The first one is that the 12th Lord, Mars, and Ascendant Lord Moon, and even Venus, even if you take the Venus, this is the same, are in the Kendra. So they are Parashparakaraka, they are supporting each other. This is also spiritual combination, if your Lagna Lord and 12th Lord are in Kendra. So for example, me, who some could say, yeah, externally, right? We can be invested in something which is at least associated with spirituality. We don't have those yogas, right? I don't have Lagna Lord in the Kendra to 12th Lord. I don't have Lagna Lord or Atmakaraka Dispositor in the Dushtana, but he has, right? So these parts of spirituality which are related to those points, right? We will now be discussing the thing about the Kendra of Lagna Lord and 12th Lord. I don't have them, and many spiritual people don't have them. But this person who is saying that he is atheist, or other people who may seem as atheist, they may have it, and they will be strongly invested in those renunciation, fasting, and things like that. So these parts of the sadhana will be much easier for them. We have to admit that. And Lagna Lord and the 12th Lord means that you are also going in that direction of 12th house, which means that I'm basically against the Rajasic awareness, right? Because Lagna is about awareness. And here when we think about this Rajasic awareness, which means that I want to consume everything I see, I want to enjoy the world. When you are going to the 12th house, then you are entering the meditation state, you are renouncing things, you are minimalist, right? So these people, even if they claim that they are not religious, they are not spiritual, they will have those attraction to minimalism, to intellectual work, be it art, philosophy, or science, and they will not be very attracted to some gossips or some external things like money or status. They will want to get something which is not so easily distracted or easily lost, right? Because they got this wisdom that there is much better and long-term happiness on the Sattva guna than in the Rajas. Now going in that trend of the 12th house, Jupiter, Atmakaraka, is in the Pisces. That is the first thing. Again, if Atmakaraka in the Navamsha is in Virgo Pisces, this makes person spiritual. He has this. So this means that I will associate myself on the deep level with people who are into moksha or escapist, right? Those people who are into the philosophy, internal seeking and things like that. And not only that, this is Atmakaraka in the second house in the Navamsha. Now, to understand what type of spirituality or what element this is giving, we have to understand that Atmakaraka in the Navamsha is our deep self, and the Navamsha Lagna is the birth. So this shows how the soul is perceiving this birth. In which direction you were born? Were you thrown out by karma in the direction of materialism, or maybe you want to prove something to yourself? It's like 10th house. So the whole life is siddhi. I want to excel in something. If Atmakaraka is in the 5th house, the whole life is about the rules, right? You are all about the veganism, you are all about the animal rights and about social justice and equality. This is when the rules or rights, or it could also be seen in the spiritual. You may be interested in fasting, Ekadashi, Bhima Ekadashi, this and that. But if the Atmakaraka is in 2nd house, we say that this may be a little bit shortcut to understand what's going on, but this is about being sannyasi in the past life. Sannyasi is a person who renounced the world. So this is again giving the 12th house strong association in this life. 12th house again being related to renunciation and related to that anti-Rajasic awareness. So that the joy of missing out and being dedicated to inner happiness. No? And 2 points, right? Pisces, because Pisces is also natural sign of 12th house, and from Atmakaraka to the Navamsha Lagna. Remember, you have to count from the Atmakaraka to the Navamsha Lagna to find what is the direction of the soul in this birth. How you were, we could say, how you were thrown in this life. In which direction you are going, right? Are you going in the 4th house? Family, right? You are like a center of the family. Where you from in the 5th house direction about seeking the truth? Maybe 6 and 8. This can give some chronic ailments. They can be very little, but somehow they may irritate you. 6th and 8. Some itching will be there. Then you have 11th house, could be a friendship is important. Third house often gives someone who likes to write, right? So in which direction you were thrown? And here we have 12th house. So you will see that whole life like destruction for liberation, right? The soul wants to liberate, and this is all kind of destruction. I just want to be at my place and I want to write. Then we have another, let's call it astrologer combination in his chart. He has Sattva grahas. Sattva grahas are Sun, Moon, Jupiter. Sattva grahas will be interested in Sattva, right? The Sun is more about the order, about the ritu, and the Moon, Jupiter can be more about the knowledge, about the truthfulness. Moon is that think about the equality, this family. We are all souls, and developing that care, right? That kindness, which is very important in some spiritual traditions. When they are related to 8th and 5th, then this also makes person interested in the sattvic knowledge. And this there is this transformation related to the sattva. With 8th house, you need to be careful because the sattvic grahas there, they have another problem. But if the 8th lord is like in the 5th related to sattvic grahas, then this is a very, we could say that this opens the person to a esoterism, to the transcendence, to the spirituality, and the fantasy, right? Because you can see there is a small gap between the fantasy and esotericism in this thing. So therefore, there is no surprise that we are finding in this chart those esoteric combination. That is the whole point of this video. You can see 8th Lord Jupiter. So Jupiter is sattvic and 5th house is the Sun. So this will give interest or knowledge about all those things related to very, we could say, existential things, right? Your knowledge, your interest is about very existential things. This can give those philosophical nature, but especially philosophy related again to something spiritual. So it will not be philosophy like some analytical philosophy or some mathematics or some linguistics. It will be, or economy, philosophy, right? It will be again something very related to our birth, our the core being of existence, especially the metaphysical thing. I think that unfortunately has to be the key distinguisher here. And the last point is also quite interesting because this is the Vimshamsa part. Vimshamsa is how you practice now, right? The Brihadarashara Shastra, the main book about Vedic astrology, says that Vimshamsa, this is the chart which is created by dividing the sign into 20 parts, right? Vimshamsa. So imagine how important are the degrees in Vedic astrology. We, in the Vedic tradition, we are taking the big advantage of the degrees. How we are using the degrees? They are used in the Varga calculation. So the planets, based on their degrees, they will be thrown into different planets in those Varga charts. So there will be a separate chart of your spirituality. Imagine that. Not only you have the main chart, which is already fantastic, but you have also the special, additional, independent chart of your spirituality when you can see which activity is increasing your spirituality, right? Is it maybe meditation, 4th, 8th, or 12th, especially 4 and 12, or is it maybe the bhakti, 5th house, right? So those spiritual people will have different yogas in the chart. For him, Lagna Lord in the 3rd house, Saturn is debilitated, right? But we have the Saturn and Mars. Mars is an own sign. We were talking about the Yama Yoga and about strong Mars, right? So Yama Yoga, Saturn-Mars combination, traditionally we say it's a god of death combination, so can be interested in that. So also those transcendence, those things can be there. But Mercury in the 3rd house shows writing. Both Mercury and 3rd house shows writing. So can we say that he perceived writing as some form of a sadhana, right? Because what means sadhana? Sadhana is basically something which you are doing every day, and this is slowly, like gardening, right? It is increasing something in your life. When we talk about the spiritual sadhana, then it is about the increasing your consciousness, right? So writers, every day they are doing the same thing, which is increasing some or adding. There is the compounding effect, right? You are adding something every day, and then you have something big. So here we have those writing, but because it is present in the Vimshamsa, can we say that this is somewhat, it is taking the form, or it is somehow adding to his spirituality, right? So with all these yogas, we have like 6 yogas, that was the Vimshamsa was the 7. Can we say that this person was spiritual? Now, often when someone says that he's agnostic or atheist, then so we know what this person doesn't like about religion. This is this rigid, formal, authoritative, excluding, right, unjust, often violent, because of those things, type of religion, right? But when we think about how they are doing with their life, there is a lot of philosophy, minimalism, detox, inner happiness, right? So all of these are parts of the core of the, we could call it Upanishad type of spirituality, right? So you are about lifting your consciousness, right, through the gunas or through the chakras, and then finally you are transcending the world, right? So you are going in that direction. Your consciousness is not interested in that rajas, in that material, shallow joy. You are on that level of living that you have attraction to that higher things, we could say, in life. So they will call themselves atheist, but in fact, they are, every day, they are doing something which is a big part of monks in the temple. Also, there is a little bit problematic issue with this division too, because many people will say, oh, I don't like religion, I love spirituality. But if we go to the core of what is spirituality, right? It is the 12th house, Pisces. The 12th house is about the renunciation of this rajas, we could say. And what is the religion? Because the spirituality is Pisces, religion is Sagittarius, right, in astrology. So religion is just 10th house from the 12th. So 10th house is how to achieve it. So how to achieve this state of spirituality? You need to do things in the 9th house. So the 9th house is the Sagittarius, is the Dharma, what you need to do to be detached from rajas, from the material enjoyment, which will ultimately give you sadness, right? This is the rajas, the trap of material life. So religion, in that very core and the raw sense, is how-to of spirituality. So you can see there is a difference how Jyotisha perceives religion and how it is perceived now, that 21st century experience of what religion was giving us, which I totally understand. Okay, guys, so I think that's it for today. The technical part was already sent in my newsletter. So if you're interested in that, you can go to my website, and in the About Me, you can apply to the newsletter. Thanks for being here. If you'd like to see the video about the Tapashvi Yoga, which is the core of spirituality, then please consider watching this one.